I have 10 minutes. I'm very tired and very caffeinated, and we'll see what that combination produces. Where's the clicker? Here we go. That one, right? No?
Big button.
The big button, that one. There we go. All right, so I'm from Forrester Research. I am not an analyst. I am their Chief Business Technology Officer. So I run Forrester's technology, and both internally and like everybody else here have to innovate on the products and drive revenue. Forrester, if you don't know, I'll give you the 5-second thing. We take technology, marketing, and strategy. We do a lot of research and put together data on that, and we help companies put that all together to make great customer experiences and drive revenue. That's the pitch. So a year ago, I came up, I talked about how I got to Forrester, and after I settled the infrastructure and turned towards innovation, we had this blocker inside. We're out there telling everybody about innovation, and yet in our own company, we couldn't do it. I turned to our research. I read this great book that one of our analysts did called Digital Disruption by James McQuivey. And in it, it has great themes like, hey, digital disruption is real. 10 times the innovators are out there. It costs one-tenth the price, so there's 100 times disruption. You got to beat them at their own game. If you're a big company, you have to innovate adjacently by trying one thing that leads to another innovation. You have to partner promiscuously. You alone as a company can't do what you plus a small company and a big company can do. And you have to think in the concrete and show people what the innovation is rather than talk about it generally. That led to what I presented last year was Forrester Labs. I created a logo. I had a logo. This can't go wrong. So I created 10 tenets that we would drive in the company. In Forrester Labs, if we do something, it's not meant for production. Don't be scared. We're not going to put it out there until we test it. It's scrappable. If I go down a path and this doesn't go well, I can throw it out and there's no consequences. It's low, no cost. I'm not going to break the bank on it. I'm not going to use main resources. I'm not going to undermine the things that we're already doing. It's going to be simple and it's going to be concrete. We're going to create things that people can see and feel and touch. It's going to have a very small team, too many people, too many stakeholders, the whole thing goes awry. Everyone's got an opinion. It favors partnerships wherever we can do it. If we can get small companies to work with us, which is why I'm attending the Innovation Showcase today. It's driven by client goals, and hopefully it teaches something. That's the main goal. We lowered the bar. And we reveled in this great Forrester Labs thing. It actually produced very quickly a big multi-million-dollar win for the company. But then part of my story here is that it kind of fizzled. Like after that big thing, everything we tried sort of hit a wall. So what I'm going to talk about today is these new walls that I sort of identified. Maybe they're new for me and not for you. And how I sort of recasted this to drive culture change at the company. Anthony said something about not talking about technology. This speech is largely around the culture that we had to tackle. So first barrier that we hit is this is the Dorco Pace 7. For years we thought 6 razors on the razor blade was it. These guys finally, this is real by the way, these guys finally, they said welcome to the next level. Point here that I'm trying to make is that one of the barriers I realized is that the innovators in your company are wearing your company's glasses and they can only see innovation through the lens of what the company that you do does. So if you work in a razor company and you have 6 blades, what's innovation to you? 7 blades. And I'm sure someone will come out with an 8-blade one soon. Everyone sees, they build mousetraps and they think innovation is better mousetraps. And that was a big blocker even for us and all our clients. I'm seeing this all the time. People see innovation as innovating on what they do, and it blocks them from what customers really want. This is the Homer car. I don't know if anyone saw this episode, but in the episode, Homer Simpson meets his long-lost half-brother who runs a car company. And the brother, to bond with him, says, Homer, you design a car. And Homer gives him all the things that he wants to do for the car. And they go and they build it, and it's a colossal flop. Point here is that everyone's first instinct when they think about innovating is let's go build it. Let's think big and let's build this thing. Everybody comes to me, as I'm sure they come to you, and say, I have an innovative idea. If we spend $300,000 on this, we're going to really go. Everyone thinks very big. You can see like in the back there's a dome for the kids so that you don't have to hear them. There's a really loud horn. Actually, there was something from this that came true, that he wanted really big cup holders, and actually that was the only part of the Homer car that lasted. But point is here, again, everyone thinks too big, too quickly. We had a company, third barrier I noticed is we had a company, a culture shaping company, outstanding company called Sen Delaney. And we've all been through these things before. I was like, all right, let's go with the trust falls. Here we go. But they were actually really good. One of the things they did was, and we'll try it here, and I would challenge you to try this with your departments or your executive team or whatever. I'm going to tell you that this is my new design for a wheelbarrow, and I want you to quickly think of 3 comments. 3 observations you make on it. And since I only have 4 minutes left, I'm not going to give you much time. So think about it. And as you're thinking, I'm going to tell you that you're going to get a score. You're going to score your 3 comments. 1 point if you made a positive comment, and -1 if you made a negative comment. And if you do this in any big group without the setup that I'm here talking about innovation, I can almost guarantee you're going to get like 1 out of 50 that say, yeah, I actually made 2 out of 3 good comments. Most people will look at any idea with a critical eye. I was actually on a phone call with a very big company the other day talking about an innovation that we're doing, and at the end of the call someone said, well, we'll gather up all our concerns and issues with your innovation and let you know what we think about it. It's people's first mode, it's a human brain, is to go to the negative. So making people aware that they do that is an unfreezing that has to happen, and this is a great exercise to try. It doesn't have to be a wheelbarrow, it could be anything. Actually, this wheelbarrow turns out is a thing. It's a cement mixing wheelbarrow that winches up the side of buildings, and it made some company billions of dollars. But it doesn't have to be a wheelbarrow, and it doesn't even have to be successful. The point is get people to realize that they are part of the problem. So, oh yeah, and the last one is people are busy. You know, the arrogance that I had thinking that I would come to Forrester with all these crazy innovative ideas and everyone would stop what they're doing and actually pay attention and participate in my innovations, it was really high. This is a great comic where, you know, everyone's out there fighting battles with swords, and even if I have a potential machine gun in the back room, they don't have time for that. The pressure that they have to make their numbers every quarter is so great, and they're busy, and I really underestimated how great that force is that prevents people from participating and embracing innovation. So I had a mentor once tell me, Steve, if you want to change culture, if you want to get a whole bunch of people to do a lot of things, make it an acronym or 4 things starting with the same letter. So I took his advice. We had the 4 C's of innovation, and I had 2 minutes left, so we'll go really fast. First is customer. What I mean by this is it's easy to say customer obsessed. The customer's always right, but this is more about forget what you do, what do they want? I love the Brita example because it's like you could have made a better Brita filter, but instead you try to figure out what people really want, and what they want is something completely different about how to change it. In the case of the razors, Harry's and Dollar Shave Club figured out that people don't necessarily want the 7th blade, they want a better distribution method. So what do they want, not what do you make? Second one is crude. Instead of the Homer car, if you really think that what people want is to have kids silenced, get a bunch of families to drive around with their kids with duct tape over their mouths. Get really crude and figure out if the thing that you're proposing is actually valuable. We try to tell people in our company, like, don't come to me and ask me to develop something for $100,000. Prove it with Google Docs and stickies before you come to me. So think really crude. Give people permission to try something at a very, very low level, and in fact, force them to do it before they even propose something at $100,000. Third one is be curious. Open up your mind. There is a lot of people, what they do is when they thought about the customer and they think about the crude thing, they then try to run tests to prove their theory. Have a completely open mind. I tried an innovation, and what I found out, I tested it with a customer, and what I found out is something completely different, totally off topic from what I was innovating on. They didn't want this innovation, but they wanted something completely different. You've got to open up your mind and realize that once you create that crude experiment, be open to learn something. And then finally, chaos. And you might think that the thing I'm trying to put here is be comfortable with the chaos. It's actually a leadership issue. When that blocker of busyness that I talked about, what I realized is that people are out there trying to do their jobs on a day-to-day basis. And your innovation is a threat to their ability to run that machine in an oiled manner. And what you need to do from a leadership point of view is for example, I got my CEO to tell everybody, I asked him a simple question in front of the whole company. What would you rather have? These operations that we have running really, really great and everyone doing their mark and us growing at 2%, or an innovation that everybody really, really wants and can make us millions, but we actually created a big problem in our operations that we now have to solve. And he's like, I don't understand, is that a trick question? Of course I'd rather have the second one. You've got to give people permission. You've got to give them the backing that you will take care of the chaos that your innovation caused. They just need to be open to receiving it. And that's the 4 C's, 17 seconds to spare, 3 cups of coffee. I think I did it. All right.